Welcome to part 3. I'm joined by Julian. We're having a good old boxing chinwag today. I hope you're all enjoying it. If anybody's offended, I don't care. Right then, here we go. Julian, Ian John Lewis is doing a documentary that comes out near Christmas. Have you heard about this?
No.
Yeah, it's apparently it's pretty. He's been pretty brutal about some people in this. It's going to be out at Christmas, this documentary. I'm starting to wonder what my own opinion on this is, because if Ian John Lewis, aka the man that can stop an intercity train at 125 miles an hour, if Ian John Lewis was still an A-star referee for the British Boxing Board of Control, would he be doing a documentary in December and setting about them, yes or no?
Absolutely not. I'll be interested to see what the documentary is about. It's the first I've heard of it, so yeah. I'm assuming he's going to be uncovering the British Boxing Board of Control. Is that an assumption?
Yeah. Look, I don't know him personally, but he frustrated me as a referee and a judge. I have no proof that he's been on the take, but I did do videos. We're going back 3 years on my channel. I think it's called Ian John Lewis, Corruption or Incompetence. The guy is like the Albert Trotter of the naval sea world, isn't he? It's like Jonah, isn't it? His Calamity James has had that many chances, that many mess ups, that I think he got to a stage where he had to go. What do you think?
I think we've got a few of them, haven't we? He's been a scapegoat to some extent. I know he got slapped really badly because of the Catterall.
I'd like to slap him.
But honestly, all right, he got the Josh Taylor Catterall fight wrong. All 3 judges got that wrong, because that was quite a clear win for Catterall. I don't think anybody.
What about Michael Alexander? He got off scot-free on that one, didn't he? He was only 1 point behind, wasn't he?
Yeah, so he's 1 point behind him, and then they make Ian John Lewis a scapegoat. That ultimately is very, very clear.
But Ian John Lewis has been in this situation many, many times, hasn't he? A bit like Fat Terry. But these people just keep taking and taking and taking from the sport, don't they? They've got good lifestyles. We all know what they earn, don't we? They get about 10 bob a mile for travelling, food and beverage, and they get paid on night, don't they? You'll see them sitting around the ring waiting to get paid, don't you? No, well, right.
Steve Gray Steve Gray's done some beauties, hasn't he? And he had Savannah Marshall after 7 rounds beating Clarissa Shields, didn't he? Yeah. So Steve, look, there's some good referees out there. There's some good officials, and unfortunately, if you want to be part of boxing, you want to get involved in the official side of it, you have to do it via the British Boxing Board of Control if you really want to do it. So you have to kind of dance with the devil. But look, we've talked about the word corruption before. Is it corruption? Is it subconscious bias? Is it incompetence? And I don't always believe with a guy like Ian John Lewis's incompetence. It's an ex-fighter. He must have been in thousands of rings as a referee and around the sport for so long. Yeah. Like we talked about before, he's got to know boxing. So I sometimes think there's a subconscious bias where they're saying, you know what, I know the promoter wants to win this fight. That was a close round. I'm kind of gonna go with the home fight on that one. And
humans are creatures of habit, aren't they? We know that, don't we?
Look, none of us are perfect, but the Jack Catterall thing was absolutely scandalous, because you're robbing a kid of his dreams. So I can't forgive anybody for that. But Ian John Lewis, let's see what comes out, because sometimes they build these documentaries up and they actually say nothing really. It's a bit of much ado about nothing. So I don't know. He's obviously been downgraded and shifted across organisations. He's bitter. He might have a right to be bitter, because he'll see there's other,
incompetent referees still earning money.
Yeah, there's other people still around it, so he probably thinks I don't know. I mean, we saw the Boom Gardner Mayer fight. I mean, they got that wrong. They keep getting it wrong, don't they? They keep getting it wrong all the time. And he's just one of another one who got it wrong, and they had to be seen to be doing something, didn't they?
Yeah. Yeah.
They're very quiet at the moment, the Border Control, aren't they? They're very quiet about this Conor Benn situation.
Very coy, because they're knee deep in it. They're knee deep in it. They sat on all that information, didn't they? Whether they know about the first one, I don't know. But they knew about the second one for at least 13 days, didn't they? What were going on with them 13 days? Robert Smith, come out and talk to us. You can next month when you retire, thank God. And no, I don't wish you well. Why would I want to wish them well? Why?
Yeah.
Why would I wish them well? I wouldn't. Would you wish him well?
I've said it as a politeness, but they don't wish Gary Sykes well, do they? So,
no, they don't. They ripped Gary Sykes off for his British.
Shitbags, you ripped him off his belt. You're a bunch of shitbags, lot of you.
Dave Allen's guy, this Joe Hayden, I've heard his name mentioned a few times in boxing circles. People are tipping him to go away. Will Dave Allen be able to hold on to him? There's a young trainer in it, Dave.
That's always the challenge, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, Dave Allen, and everybody likes Dave Allen. What I can tell you, Dave, as a coach, there's more commitment required in coaching than there is in boxing. Trust me. You have to be there before you fight her, there after you fight her, studying game plans, everything you have to look after. So Dave Allen wasn't the most committed of fighters, was he?
No.
So if you're going to look after, just being honest, saying it as it is, right? If you're going to look after people, Dave, you got to be sure triple the amount of commitment you showed as a boxer. Because if you're asking, will he hold on to him? Fighters are very needy individuals. That's just the nature of a fighter. They're very selfish, very needy. If you can't put them first, you'll lose them. It's as simple as that. And even if you do all the right things, there's enough snakes in boxing, I think, which is what you're getting to. That what they're doing, if this kid's no good of Dave Allen's and he ends up not being that great, nobody will be sniffing around. If he's the next best thing, they'll all be sniffing around at shows. Oh, great performance there. Oh, you're looking good. And if you ever need any advice, give me a call. And it's a dog-eat-dog world, mate, isn't it? But good luck to him in his whatever, his coaching, handling, managerial. Good luck to Dave Allen with his fighters. He certainly knows the pitfalls of the game. Seems a good guy. And I don't wish anybody nothing but success if they put the graft in. But Dave, you got to put the graft in, mate.
Look like the Brady Bunch, don't they? Dave's fighters, don't they? They're a right stable, isn't it? But you've got to wish him well, because let's have it right. They were overmatching him when we earned money. I mean, some of the fights, and I just hope Dave don't make some of them decisions for these kids. But hopefully he'll learn from his mistakes, because there's no shortcuts to success as a Julian.
No, hard work every time, mate.
But I mean, Dave's now a trainer, a manager. He's swimming out there, and the sharks out there, and he's got to watch for them sharks, and he's got to watch for them big grandad pikes. You know what a grandad pike is, don't you? They're about that big, aren't they?
Yeah.
Watch for them, and just treat it as business, a bit like Izzy and Asif. Like Izzy, Asif, and Ash next door. It looks like they've managed to get Cash Alley away from Dennis, haven't they? So I had a chat with Dennis about that, and Dennis said, "No, it's business, isn't it? That's how you've got to look at it, haven't you?"
It's business, and who's to say that Cash Alley won't come around again in 2 or 3 years' time for Dennis?
But if Dave, listen, when Dave went elsewhere, he came back to Dennis, didn't he? But what I don't want to happen is Dave to get this kid to a good level, this Joe Eden, who everybody's talking about, and then somebody nick him off Dave, because Dave could probably go missing for a year. Then he might not train anybody, or it can knock your confidence, can't it? And it's awful what goes on behind the scenes. But he will know all this because he's seen it. Look what happened when Bricktop offered him all that money to fight the bar, and if he got beat, there were other fighters down the line. He offered him a package, Eddie went, I'll match it, I'll match it. Well, he didn't, did he? He didn't.
Well, I watched that film that you sent me the other day, Margin Call,
Yeah.
about the city and stockbrokers and corruption, money. It's people's drug, isn't it? Money. Boxing's no different to Margin Call. It's just the same set of people shafting another set of people, and that is what boxing is, isn't it? It's savage, and that's why I always admired those fighters who were loyal to the trainers and the managers who were loyal to them. It's very unusual you get like that small group of people, and I always understand why someone like a Joe Calzaghe stuck with his dad. You know, his dad wasn't a natural coach to start with. He wasn't someone who was really a coach, but his dad loved his son. He wanted the best for his son, and he knew how brutal and how savage boxing was. And I like those little stories like that, because I'll tell you, boxing's full of trainers and managers tapping people. Tapping supposed to be something that's frowned upon and illegal by the British Boxing Board of Control. But they're always tapping. There's different ways of tapping people up, isn't there? There's, like you've talked before about the Twitter. I'm not on Twitter, but tweets what other coaches send to fighters, going, "Oh, well done, great." That, you know, what, stroking them and just lubing them up to kind of step in there, out there. It's horrible, and it's like a set of whores out there. It's terrible.
Yeah,
I had it, by the way. But the thing is Sykes. You know, I won't mention names, but people used to approach Sykes and, you know, I can do this for you, Gary, I can do that for you. Gary had no filter, and he used to just speak to Jules, speak to Jules, speak to Jules. And a couple of people tried it over the years, tapping Sykes up, and he just straight away just told me, "No, so-and-so's been texting me," just like that. And we used to just laugh. And it's like, it happens all the time. But I never reported anybody for the Board of Control for that. I just thought.
Unlike you, Steffi Bull, eh? Who reported me to the board, didn't you, Steffi Bull? Eh? For talking to Gary McDonald when he'd already sent Dennis a text saying, "Den, have you got any featherweights I can beat up?" Den went texting back, "Yeah, I've got Josh Whaley here. I think he does, yeah." That would have been a great trilogy, because they'd had 2 fights, one a split, one a draw, wasn't it? But you reported me, didn't you, Steffi, said, "Board, but I never had a license." Well, you know what the board did? They suspended Dennis's promoter's license till the hearing. So
you like Conor Ben, mate, aren't you? They can't do anything with you now.
They couldn't have known to me. They couldn't have known to me. But he thought I got me second, Steffi, but I got knocked back, didn't I? Because of the criminal record. But the point I want to make is this: Gary McDonald texts Dennis. No one else. He texts Dennis. Dennis went, "Yeah, we've got Josh Wales. You want it?" And they didn't really want it, but they're looking to cause problems. And telling tales like that's out of order, in my opinion. But Dennis just put lawyers on it. I'll tell you how he dealt with that. He said, "I'm not going to no meeting in Bradford on a Sunday morning," dragging him out. Dennis on a Sunday morning, having to get up about 6:30. He'd have been in bed an hour. You've not got a chance. So how he dealt with it, he just got lawyers involved and said, "Russell ain't got a license. Do what you've got to do. Let's roll the dice." And the board poo-pooed it, didn't you? Didn't you, Robert Smith? Poo-poo job. Picking on people because of me. Well, I ain't got a license. I can do what I want, can't I, really? I can say what I want about you, Robert Smith. Yeah, you. And your limousine when you got banned for drink driving. Who were paying for that? I'll come to
This
you.
is,
I'll come to you another week.
You're entitled to your opinion, and this is what Darky Smith always taught me early on in my coaching career. Darky Smith didn't take any crap off anybody, certainly not the Board of Control. And what Darky Smith used to always say was,
"Oh, Nick Manners, mate, isn't it?"
Yeah, it's a Darky would say, "In my opinion, you're a prick." He would say that. He would say that to license holders and officials in the Board of Control. "In my opinion, you're a prick." And he was just saying, "In my opinion." And Darky was absolutely just, he was a character. He'd been there in the 70s and 80s himself. His son Stephen's a phenomenal coach and was a good fighter. But Darky just didn't suck up to anybody, mate. He used to matchmake for Audley Harrison in the early days, and they got rid of him because he used to propose fights that were too tough for Audley. And Audley liked to fight those road sweepers, didn't he? And
Audley Harrison. Audrey.
But Darky was a proper character. We used to go over to Hull on a weekend, me and Mally McIver, who had managed, and spend time over there with, and that was a good education, was that, mate?
Yeah, yeah. I give Eddie some stick. People keep emailing. Okay, you always doing Eddie stick. Why do you do it? Because I can. That's why. The stick I give Eddie, every license holder in this country, or 99% of them, they give Eddie stick to the pals in the pub, to the missus when they're in bed,
Yeah.
to the relatives, to the man in the cafe, to the man in the petrol station. But they don't say it on social media like me. So what's the difference between me and them? I'll tell you what the difference is. Balls. I've got balls. Big gonads. That's the difference. But I'm going to praise Eddie now. Not for the fact that he got in touch with me the other day via email. No, I'm going to praise Eddie for the fact that he's putting a show on, and you've seen the email, haven't you, Julian?
Yep.
I'm going to praise Eddie because he's putting this show on. I thought, shall I say something nice about Eddie? And I thought, no, I'm not gonna. And then this morning, I had a little look, and we're jotting a few ideas down. And this show he's got on Guy Fawkes Night in Saudi, is it Dubai or wherever it is? Have you seen it? It's fantastic, isn't it? Let me just read it out. Cal Yafai's comeback fight. He's on a lost once, former world champion. Galal Yafai, 2-0, that's the gold medalist, isn't it? Right. Chantel Cameron, Jessica McCaskill.
Right.
That's a great fight, that, isn't it? Zelfa Barrett going for his world title, although a little bit fortunately, in my opinion, because I thought Martin has beat him, but you take the rough with smooth, don't you?
Yep.
The one he lost against Ronnie Clark could have gone either way, so swings and roundabouts. So I'm behind Zelfa Barrett on this, and I want him to win. And then you've got Ramirez, 44-0, former world champion. Bivol, 20-0, who beat Canelo, current world champion, going for WBA 175-pound belt. So all them people who say, I hate Eddie Hills, or Eduardo Hills, as he calls it, sending his emails, he's trying to be cheeky. Yes. This is a great show, and I think this is probably best card he's put on in a long time. But he don't put stuff like this on in UK, does he? What do you think, Jules?
It's a really, really good card. And I'm the same as you. People think, you're sticking it to Eddie. I have my own way of doing it. I hate the behaviour of what's been displayed recently. He's done some brilliant things for British boxing. No one's ever denied that. The stadium shows everything. Right. There are certain characteristics that are not my cup of tea, but it's a good show. He puts on some good shows. He puts on some, not many great shows, but some good shows. I saw the email. He was very polite and diplomatic with yourself. Didn't behave like a petulant child. It was kind of mature response to you. Thought your emails were more constructive note to him.
Than how I usually put things.
Well, I smiled and I thought, who's wrote that for you? To be honest.
I like all that fancy stuff he has around his emails. I told Cameron to do something like that for me. All that. What's it called? What do they call that stuff?
He's got his signature and his title and things.
I like all that.
Yeah, the terms and conditions as well. But look, I've always said this from day one. Right? I don't know him. He's probably like a good guy. He's quite funny actually. I've seen some of the impressions he does, and he can laugh at himself. We're not praising him. We're just saying, look, some of the things you've done aren't great. But what you've always done, and I think that's what people don't see, is, excuse the dog, what you always do is, if credit's due, give him credit. Absolutely.
Killing me all this, like saying that's a good show, but that is a good show. I'm not saying I'm not saying I'm going to join DAZN over it. I'll find ways around it to watch it, but that's a great show, that. And I just don't understand why you can't do that in UK. I don't know, man. Me getting him praise is hurting my feelings, and I'm going to get stick for it. But you can't knock that show. Can't knock it, mate. That is what we all want all the time, isn't it?
Problem is, Eddie, I ain't going to subscribe for a month for one good show. That's the challenge that you got. But what I will say, yeah, it's a good show. He can't put them on in the UK because sometimes globally is a different matter. But he won't work with the other UK promoters. He says he will, but you know, the key ones he won't. And that's the problem, isn't it? He won't work with Frank, for example, and Frank won't work with him as well, to be fair.
Well, they're putting on fight 10, aren't they? Parker Ryder. Is that the 10th one in 12 years or 11th? I think it might be 10th, but no. Answers on a postcard, pokecorner@mail.com.
It's not great, is it? And that's the thing. It's like, do you know what? They've got the power in their hands to put some brilliant shows on, and they're not doing it either. We keep saying this, and people think, oh, it's a different thing, organization. They need to look at the UFC, and they need to look at, you know, Dana White's UFC. I mean, that organization's worth nearly $5 billion now. Absolutely incredible. Look,
laughing, aren't they? Laughing.
Yeah, Dana White didn't inherit, and his colleagues didn't inherit the UFC in a really good position. Like
had to start it up, didn't they?
To start it up and borrow money. And look at the UFC now. It's an incredible organization. It's well run, and I don't know. I mean, it's a dream, isn't it, to think that the promoters could work together and form some kind of conglomerate and put on these big shows, because it's not good enough. But the Ramirez Bibble fight is a good fight, and we'll take that. But I think that's enough praise now for Eddie, don't you?
Yeah. Do you feel though, Julie? Yeah. Well done, Eddie, on this show. But
well
so
done.
what? So what, Eddie? You're putting a great show on, brilliant. But if the one after's pony, I'm going to rinse you, mate. End of story. But this one, Eddie, you get my respect, and that's through bitter tea. And these are best teeth in town, kid. These are best. Sigonium, kid. Sigonium. Right. Do you think, Julian, that this boxing game compared to UFC, do you feel that your Anthony Joshua's, Tyson Fury's, all big earners, you think they've been spoilt now? Dylan White's not really achieved what his paychecks are giving him, as he gets £1 million paychecks or more, but he's not a decorated boxer as people make out, is he? He's more of a character on behind the scenes, isn't he? Does numbers like Ben. He's not achieved now, but we're all talking about him. Do you feel that these people are overpaid in that? And do you think that the UFC guys, they're prepared just to fight and just get out there and fight anybody and earn money? And you think that's how they built it up, on raw aggression and 50-50 fights and all that carry on?
Well, it's a good question, because I always think that the part-time fighters and full-time celebrities, and when I say the part-time fighters, I'm not saying for 1 minute they can't fight, because that's a stupid thing to say. Yeah. Some of these guys you mentioned are world-class athletes, but they're not full-time fighters. You know, you look at the activity of them once every 8, 9, 10 months, these heavyweights. Yeah. It's a bit of a joke, isn't it? But also what I would say is their earnings compared, so if you look at Dillian White's earnings, pay-per-views, millions of pounds, 5 million for Fury, compared to his skill level, it's massively disproportionate, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, you look at some of the lower weight divisions, the flyweights and the super bantamweights, and what they earn and their skill level and what they display compared to the Dillian Whites. It's massively disproportionate. People just like watching the giants. People like watching the heavyweights. I've mentioned this before, but it was like it's old now, but if you look back at K1, when it was like Bob Sapp and all these other guys, Bob Sapp was not that great. He got beat loads of times. He was a big name. He was a big character for K1. They absolutely loved him in Asia. And it's just one of those things. And Anthony Joshua, realistically, I mean, it's difficult. But if you took his skill set and took him across to football, he wouldn't be a Premiership player, would he, in terms of his skill set?
Yeah, I agree with you. Okay. Where do you see the next, I don't know, if I say one name here, I'll get rinsed. Where do you see the next Clinton Woods coming from? In any weight division, local kid who never went to Olympics, but held the world title over 3 years, went all through all levels, British Commonwealth, European World and all that. Where do you see one of them coming from now? Who is it? Is it going to be Dalton Smith? People keep telling me it's going to be Dalton Smith. What do you think?
Well, the next Clinton Woods.
Dennis McCann, Dalton Smith. What do you think?
Yeah, it's difficult because the landscape's completely changed, hasn't it? So going through, first of all, going through that British, European, Commonwealth, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And that's going to be difficult in itself because the landscape's changed. But if you mean where's that next blue collar fighter coming through without the razzmatazz, you can probably say that Dalton Smith was an elite GB kid, wasn't he? He was kind of really well.
Yeah. So he can't really be a Clinton Woods, can he? Because Clinton's spit and sawdust job, wasn't it? You know, coming through how he learned, fighting at Pine Grove on his debut.
I don't know if those kids will ever come through again because the problem is there's no structure or process for them to go through now, is there? Because if they're dangerous and they don't sell tickets, they either don't get matched or they get short notice jobs and they get beat and they become, you know, average kids. It's such a difficult thing now to get those blue collar Marvin Hagler type fighters through boxing where pure skill level. I mean, you just mentioned one earlier on in the last part we did actually, which is a David Evanesian. David Evanesian he's come through some tough fights, hasn't he?
He's a very good kid. He's an 8 out of 10 all in every department across the board, isn't he, Evanesian, isn't he?
Yeah.
Good on the pro.
I don't know if we'll see that thing again. You either got, like we said before, you've got two camps, haven't you? You've got the celebrated GB elite amateurs, or you've got the fighter who's really, really marketable and he's got a lot of followers, a Johnny Fisher, for example, but can't really fight that much. You've got those camps, but how many true blue fighters now are coming through that middle road, which is based on, I'm a good kid, I didn't really win much in the amateurs, I'm getting better and better and better. I mean, Josh Warrington was probably one of the most recent examples.
He's probably that last Clinton Woods type, isn't it?
Yeah, him and Terry Flanagan, I would say that last Clinton Woods
Terry Flanagan, whatever happened to him?
I know him and his coach really well. Lovely kid, but ultimately it's the same thing, isn't it? He's not massive razzmatazz. He wasn't great behind the mic. You know, he was just a quiet kid, didn't shout his mouth off. Blue collar champion. But I don't know if it's accessible now for those type of kids.
I see what
what we said before about sport being a level playing field. Unfortunately, it's really not, and it never has been. But it's less of a level playing field than it's ever been. I want to see some of these kids coming through though, because I'm getting frustrated. I don't know what's happening to Hopi Price, for example.
Yeah,
he's a really good kid. He's an absolute phenomenal,
very good kid. Very
brilliant fighter, Hopi Price. I've seen him spar, him and his brother, good kids. But why is he only fighting twice this year? Why aren't these kids like Hopi Price fighting
eight times a year? That's what you need to be doing. They start the pro, don't they? Eight fights.
I don't know what's going on. So
I know what's going on. They've all got sponsors and that, and they don't feel like they want to put the graft in. They'll want breaks in between camps. That's what I think, mate. Yeah, everybody's strutting around with the names on tracksuits and only had one fight. And
they've all got cars, haven't they? They've all got these.
Tommy Frank had a brand new Audi before he'd had 5 fights. You know what I mean? Or 8 fights or something, whatever. Do you know what I mean? It's on a plate for you, isn't it?
Scandalous.
I don't know, mate. I don't know. It's drives me insane, mate. It drives me crackers. But okay. What's the answer to changing it up on my channel, Julian? I've had a bit of a brainstorm this morning, and I think what I'm going to put to Kevin when I come back from my little break, I'm going to suggest that we do a Zoom, but I need a pool of people to pick from to do a pool. Obviously, we have as regulars on here, me, you, Terry, Rico, you know, Dripping Tap, Kent, people like that. But I'm looking at putting a team together. So if nobody can make it, somebody can take, you know, because everybody's got their own lives, haven't they? People keep emailing me saying, "Oh, Russell, you should do like you and 3 others." And I said, "Yeah, it's okay, but try and get 3 others to do it." Or it's a nightmare. So what I suggest is all them people that have got plenty to say in comment section, good or bad, come on here. It's not hard. Come on and let's have a bit of a tete-a-tete. and you'll get to meet the chaps, and you can build friendships out of it, even if you don't get to meet them in person. I don't know. What do you think, Julian? In the last 10 minutes,
I think it's a good idea. Obviously, we're not talking about trolls. We're talking about people who are a little bit shy.
Anybody, yeah. They all want to listen. They all want to do what I do. Then they leave the comments in live chats and whatever. They want to do what I do. They'd love to do it, but they're just unsure. They know they want to, but they're just. You've got to come up. You know, AJ Hobson said to me years ago, Innovation Alloys. He says, Porky, you've got to come out your comfort zone. I said, I don't know if I could do it. He said, I'm telling you that I could do it, you know, because he's into all them football podcasts, isn't he? Because he's a mad owl, isn't he, Wednesday. I said, I don't know if I could do it, man. Don't worry about all. He says, look, I can do it. You've got front. So I've done it, and look at where I'm at now. It took 5 years to get where I'm at now. I'm having it off. But I didn't think I could do it. You've got to come out your comfort zone. So all you people who want to do it, just come on, and we'll do it. We'll just do an half an hour and see how you feel. I'm not just saying it because I want to see what you look like. I don't really care what you look like. We all look different. You all can't look as good as me.
I've been on your show 50 times. You never tried to trick me up or make me look bad. Or if I don't know, I say I didn't watch the fight, mate. Or I don't know. Well, I'm not sure. It's just, and I think you've got some good contributors. There's some regulars who put stuff out there. We'll make some really good points. That you got a good audience, and just come on, you're right. Make it more of a panel, or make it, you know, let's get people together and come up with our own top 10, our own rankings, our own. What fights would you like to see?
I'd like to do a regular slot where there's like me. You know, obviously you can't keep everybody happy. It could be me and Kent and you one day, or me, Terry and Rico, because we're really close pals, or me and Matt Skelton, the cabbie from Essex, and John O'Sunami. Also, he comes on here. I'm not bothered, but let's just try and mix it up a bit. Or Andy Rose. It don't matter if some people have been there. They've been really quiet on that, and they haven't really wanted to come on again, and they didn't like the reaction and comments and all that. You have to ignore. That's why when people come on, I have to protect them with comments, because some people and some people are sensitive, aren't they? You're a bit sensitive. I'm going to say you then, but you pointed to said you can be a bit sensitive. And some of the stuff that you've sent is vile, but me, I lap it up now like Pac-Man. You've seen some. It's that bad. I mean, ringing me sponsors. Come on. That's not the first time. They've rung here to burn it down, factory. And people and bloke here went and told somebody else, you got women working here and all this. And I said, nobody's going to do it all. That's all cambered up inside and out. You like to keep an eye on me in case I'm nicking out. But now all these cameras have been up here before I start. But people need to come on here and express yourselves. You're all welcome. I'm saying you're all welcome. Or if you want to do a video at home and send me it and see what the reaction is, do that. Send me a video to email porkycorner@mail.com. And if you like it, you can start your own channel up, don't you? That's all I'm saying. But I just want to do something different and change it up a little bit. But,
yeah. As long as you stick to, if you stuck to boxing, I'll always be all right, mate. But if you go into some of those other subjects, like you talk about football, I don't even watch football.
Yeah,
but stick to boxing, mate, otherwise I'll be out of my depth. But I'd encourage anyone to come on, and you know, it's just a good laugh and it's a good bit of chat, and it keeps me sharp because I'm no longer coaching. But even I get sick of my voice, and you know, you've got 4 or 5 contributors who are regulars. And it's a shame Richard's gone off, because I really like.
Richard's had enough of boxing, Richard. He's had enough. He says, I've had enough. I'm done.
And that's a shame, because he was a guy I could just listen to, because he was a man in the street who you couldn't fool, and he knew his boxing.
He's a great guy. I took him.
Good to that. Yeah.
I took him. We went to snooker over there after the game, so he pinched the frame off me. The safety played me to death. He said, I like listening to Kent, because he did pinch next 2 frames. I can assure you of that. But no, listen, he's a great guy, Rich. He's a very close friend of mine, and I'm hoping he comes back. I hope he comes back on, because he speaks like you, Julian, very popular on here, and I like him, and he's a man's man as well, Richard. He's a proper bloke. But we're bringing it to an end for today. We've got 3 minutes left, right? Pokey Corners, Teddy. Right, question, Julian. Go on, you put the question out. And the first person to send me an email, porkycorner@mail.com, you'll get this posted to you. That's cost me £3.20. I've got to go queue up petrol station, post office, sorry, to post it yet. So time and effort, but we've got plenty of jiffy bags here. We've got plenty of sellotape. Oh, I don't have to buy no sellotape working here at Christmas. Right, Julian, a question. Go on.
Okay, top of my head, even though it is now known as being folklore, who is the boxer in history who is claimed to have won a round without throwing a punch?
Ooh. Well, that would have to be on movement, that and ring generalship, wouldn't it? If he's not been connecting with punches, wouldn't it? So it'd be somebody who's really slick, wouldn't it? So it's claimed, okay. So whoever who won a round without throwing a punch.
Yeah, and it came out, it was a little bit of folklore, but it was a story that perpetuated for, I'll just say, for quite some time, and it was popular belief until it got looked into. But who was the boxer who is claimed to have won a round without throwing a single punch?
All right, and I'm going to throw a question as well, and have to go another 10. We've got enough anyway. We couldn't sell any. Right, you know when people say, "Oh, I don't want to speak to him no more. He maced me. He maced me." You will not answer to this. He maced me, or ripped you off, or he maced me. What does that stem from? The word maced. Where does it stem from? Answers on a postcard. porkycorner@mail.com. And that's it, boys and girls. 10 seconds to go. Thank you very much, Julian. You've been a real tonic. Have a great Sunday. And I'll send you a postcard.
Enjoy your trip, mate. All right, you take care.
All right, you take care. Peace out.
See you, buddy. Bye-bye.
Right. And that, I'm afraid, is that. Big shout out to my mate Frank in Bury. Big shout out to my friend Curtis Woodhouse. Kurt, come see me. I'll put kettle on. Peace out.